This meeting, sorry, and I have to go back up in my agenda. This is a special meeting and is being conducted utilizing teleconferencing and electronic means consistent with the State of California Executive Order number 2920, dated March 17th, 2020. We are conducting the meeting using the Zoom platform and streaming it live on the city website and broadcasting on Comcast Channel 15, as well as via the city YouTube channel. Public members had the opportunity to submit emails to city staff. A report of all written comments was distributed to Planning Commission members via email and posted to the city's website under documents received after published agenda. Let's see, and with that, Ms. Chan, can we get a roll call?
Thank you, Chair. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner Ali Sullivan.
Good evening, present.
Commissioner Bonilla.
Present, thank you.
Commissioner Goldstein.
Present.
Commissioner Mendel.
Here.
Commissioner Okenda.
Present.
Commissioner Stevens.
Here.
Chair Roche.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move into public comments. The public comment section provides an opportunity to address the Planning Commission on items that are not listed on the agenda. So if you have a comment on the agenda item this evening, just wait till we get to that item. The Planning Commission welcomes your comments and requests that speakers present their remarks in a respectful manner. Speakers wishing to address the Planning Commission should limit their comments to 3 minutes. Now I will ask Ms. Chan to moderate the public comment portion of the meeting. And at the end of the public comments, we will address any questions that come up. Thank you. Ms. Chan?
Thank you, Chair. If you wish to speak and you're using the Zoom platform application, please click the raise hand button. If you are dialing in, press *9 to raise your hand on the phone and use *6 to unmute yourself when called to speak. If you are streaming the meeting through Zoom on your computer, but dialing in via phone, please mute yourself so that there is no feedback sound during the meeting. If there is disruptive feedback or excessive noise during the meeting, your audio will be disabled. Okay, Chair, at this time, we have one person who has raised their hand. We have Marcella. Marcella?
Yes.
Please unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Yes, I recently started a little letter campaign in support of the retail center going on Mission and Harder. And I just wanted to
excuse me, Marcella. Excuse me, Marcella.
Yes.
I believe you're speaking on the item for tonight. You're talking about the Kmart, the old Kmart Center?
Yes.
Okay, so that's actually the item that's being discussed tonight. So after the presentation, when the chair calls for speakers, that's when you're going to be speaking. All right, Marcella? So if you, we're going to need you to wait until then.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Please mute yourself. Okay. All right, Chair, that was the only person who asked to speak. Marcella, I need you to mute yourself, please. Thank you. All right, Chair.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Chan. And thank you, Marcella, for your patience. We'll be getting to public comments for that item in just a little bit. So hold tight. Thank you. So that takes us to our first agenda item this evening, which is the proposed development of 2 new drive-through restaurants and a significant interior and exterior remodel of an existing 94,500 square foot commercial building located at 26231 Mission Boulevard. Assessor parcel numbers, let's see, do I have to read those? 452-002-009-01 and 452-002-006-10. Requiring approval of a conditional use permit, site plan review, and various warrants and exceptions from the South Hayward BART Farm Base Code with applicant Merlin Gear Partners and MGP 12 Hayward Center property owner. And with that, I think Associate Planner Marcus Martinez, you have a presentation for us.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Go ahead and share my screen. So I hope that is popping up. Confirmation, perfect, thank you. So good evening, Chair Roche and Commissioners. My name is Marcus Martinez, Associate Planner with the City of Hayward. The item before you tonight is the redevelopment of the Kmart property, which includes the proposed development of 2 new drive-through restaurants and a major renovation of the interior and exterior of the existing commercial building. To start us off, the project site is located at 26231 Mission Boulevard, towards the southwestern corner of Mission Boulevard and Harder Road. You will notice on the diagram above that the property at the immediate corner of the intersection is not part of the proposed project. Going back to the project site consists of 2 parcels with a combined site area of 10.72 acres. The project site is predominantly within the Urban General ST4 and Urban Center ST5 zones within the former South Hayward BART form-based code. The project site does include a very small 1,300 square foot sliver of the property that is located within the civic space zoning district and is located along the southern boundary of the project site. However, that parcel is intended to remain as is to primarily serve as vehicular access and circulation. It is important to note that this application was submitted to the city and deemed complete prior to the adoption of our most recent Mission Boulevard Code, which became effective late last summer. For reference, should that form-based code update have been applied to this project, this entire site would have been designated as Mission Boulevard Corridor Center, or MBCC for short, with a commercial overlay that would have exclusively required ground floor commercial, thereby prohibiting residential units on the ground floor of this entire property. In addition, the general plan designation of this property is sustainable mixed use. Going into a project summary, the applicant is seeking approvals for a conditional use permit, site plan review, and several warrants and exceptions to accommodate the development as proposed. The project scope includes the development of 2 new drive-through restaurants, which have been identified as Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers and In-N-Out Burger. Raising Cane's will have a building roughly 3,270 square feet in size, and In-N-Out will be approximately 3,880 square feet in size. The project also includes significant interior and exterior remodels to the existing 94,500 square foot commercial building that was formerly occupied by Kmart. The applicant is proposing to demise the existing building into 9 tenant spaces, which will include 3 major tenants and 6 smaller commercial shops. To accommodate the development, the project will include related site improvements, such as improved pedestrian and bicycle access, and upgraded parking configuration, stormwater management features, enhanced tree planting and overall site landscaping, and site amenities for the employees and patrons alike. Excuse me. The slide above shows the project site plan. As you can see, the placement of the 2 new drive-thrus will be located at the northern boundary of the project site. Pad 1 will be for Raising Cane's, and Pad 2 will be for In-N-Out Burger. The major tenants will be orientated towards to face Harder Road for maximum visibility, and most of the smaller shops will be facing Mission Boulevard. In terms of parking, the project site will include a total of 467 automobile parking spaces, 22 of which will be equipped with EV chargers. The project site will include a total of 70 bicycle parking spaces for short and long-term use by patrons and employees. Here we have the project's vehicular circulation plan. The project site will be accessed by the 3 existing driveways that already serve the property, 1 on Harder Road and 2 along Mission Boulevard. Access to the drive-through lanes have been designed to prevent spillover onto the public right-of-way on Harder and Mission Boulevard. Raising Cane's has been designed to accommodate up to 25 vehicles in their queue, and In-N-Out has been designed to accommodate between 22 and 24 in their drive-through lanes without leaking into the rest of the project's site. Should spillover occur outside of the designated queuing areas, the site is proactively designed to handle the overflow without blocking traffic on Mission or Harder Road. Lastly, the project will be required to install a traffic signal at the intersection of Harder Road and Dollar Street as shown in yellow above. The signal will ensure the safe and timely movements entering into and exiting from the project site. This traffic signal will be integrated into the same traffic network as the Mission Harder and Jane Harder intersections to ensure a continuous and efficient flow of traffic. Next, the slide above shows the pedestrian and bicycle connectivity the project will provide. The areas in yellow demarcate paths that are emphasized and prioritized for pedestrians and bicyclists to navigate the project site from within the site itself, as well as to and from the street. The pedestrian path network also provides direct access to an AC Transit bus stop along Mission Boulevard, which is marked on the slide above with a red star. The project will also stripe a Class 2 bike lane along Harder Road between Jane Avenue to the west toward the new Harder Dollar intersection. And the applicant will contribute $101,800 to future multimodal improvements along the street frontages. Circling back again to the traffic signal, the new signal will provide both pedestrians and cyclists a safe and controlled manner to to cross the street at the northern edge of the property. This will also benefit the new housing developments to the north of the project site and existing residents coming from the west, giving them ample time to cross the street with groceries in hand while being protected by traffic light controls. Switching gears a little bit, the slide above shows the proposed floor plan of the main building. As mentioned previously, the applicant is proposing to demise the existing 94,500 square foot commercial building into 9 tenant spaces. Of the 9 tenant spaces, 3 will be for major tenants and 6 will be for smaller commercial shops. The leasable area for the 3 major tenants will range between 21,000 and 32,100 square feet, and the smaller commercial shops will range between 1,570 to 1,980 square feet in size. Sprouts Farmers Market, an upscale and specialty grocery store that specializes in organic products, has been identified to occupy major number 1. No other tenants for the main building have been identified at this point in time to fill the other 8 vacancies. Now onto the exteriors of the building. The slide shows the existing elevations of the building, with the photo on the top showing the eastern elevation facing Mission Boulevard, and the photo at the bottom of the screen showing what one would see from Harder Road. The building was built in the 1970s and currently the building and site conditions are deteriorating. This includes the attractiveness of the building's architecture and site landscaping, road conditions, etc. As you can see on the image on the bottom of the screen, the building's current design lacks a prominent and inviting storefront entrance combined with minimal windows. In addition, the building elevations that face the street lack facade articulation and do not lend themselves to drawing in customers. Here are the proposed elevations for the main building. The image on the top shows the upgraded facade that will face Mission Boulevard, and the rendering at the bottom of the screen gives a good representation of the improvements and transformation the building will undergo. As you can see, the new elevations will include well-articulated facades that face the street with storefront entrances and a high percentage of glazing in windows. The building includes varying wall planes using contrasting and attractive colors and materials to bring life into the site. And the building will increase the opportunities for well-placed signage to attract patrons, not only for the majors, but also for the smaller tenants as well. Here are the elevations for Pad 1, which will serve Raising Cane's. The building will also utilize a well-balanced mix of materials, including metal panels, brick, earth tone stuccos for the body and trims of the building, combined with modern metal awnings and canopies on top of windows and building entrances to highlight where a customer would enter. And here are the elevations for In-N-Out Burger. The building will be primarily painted bone china, which is a light color for the body of the building, which will be contrasted against the stone veneer base. Metal canopies will also be placed on top of windows and will include the classic In-N-Out palm tree silhouettes. Also, there will be 2 LED lights that will line the perimeter of the building's roof, consistent with the corporate architecture of In-N-Out locations. Moving on to site amenities, starting with the main building. The main building will include both covered and uncovered outdoor dining areas with tables and chairs that will wrap around the northern and eastern edges of the buildings. The pedestrian paseo will be about 14 to 18 feet wide and will include secured bicycle lockers and racks, outdoor merchandise areas for the brick and mortar establishments, landscaping planters, and pedestrian lighting. To accent this area, the applicant has also proposed to add an attractive mix of an enhanced concrete and asphalt paving. Excuse me. For the drive-throughs, both locations will have landscaped and pedestrian lit walkways to and from the street, as well as within the project, as mentioned previously. Refuse receptacles will be strategically placed to ensure that patrons have full capabilities of disposing of their trash properly. Bicycle racks will also be placed in close proximity for short and long-term use. And with regards to outdoor dining, Raising Cane's will have about 27 tables outdoors that will be partially covered with a metal covered patio. In-N-Out will have about 7 tables with seats and umbrellas for their patrons to use as well. With respect to the business operations, and some of this was mentioned early in the presentation, Raising Cane's will be able to accommodate up to 25 vehicles in their queuing lanes. In-N-Out will have a queuing capacity in their drive-through lane to accommodate between 22 and 24 vehicles. For anyone that has been to an In-N-Out drive-through before, I'm sure you've experienced or witnessed a long drive-through line. To offer a little bit of context and reference, the location in San Leandro has a queuing capacity for 9 cars. Union City has a capacity for 16 cars, and the Alameda In-N-Out has a capacity for 15 cars. So the proposed queuing capacity for this location, which is between 22 and 24, is proactively trying to address that and design accordingly. Both drive-through businesses have very well-trained staff that will also accept orders along the drive-through lanes at peak hours to expedite customer service processing and minimize spillover outside of the designated queuing areas. The businesses also have very well-established trash and cleaning policies to ensure that no litter within their parking lots or within nearby sidewalks or streets are present. With regards to hours of operations, Raising Cane's will operate from Sunday to Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. and Thursday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. In-N-Out will operate from Sunday to Thursday from 10:30 a.m. to 1 a.m. and Friday and Saturday from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. And Sprouts Grocery Store will operate daily from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Moving on to public comment. In July and August of 2020, when the application was initially submitted, staff received comments from the community with mixed feelings about the two drive-through operators that were identified at that point in time. Some were supportive and excited, and others were concerned about unhealthy food options, a lack of a quality grocery store in the area, and perceptions of increased traffic. Following that, in the weeks leading up to this public hearing, staff has received over 40 emails and calls from the community stating their support for this project, both of the drive-through restaurants and the incoming grocery store. Community members include residents, business owners, faculty and staff from Cal State East Bay, and the Chamber of Commerce. Many have stated that they do not like commuting out of the city to get access to quality organic foods and want something more local. And they have said something very similarly about the In-N-Out location coming to Hayward. These comments may be reviewed as attachment 5 to the staff report. Based on all this information, staff believes that the Planning Commission can make the findings to support this project because the project will be 100% commercial project that will help meet the diverse retail needs of the community. The development will include 2 unique and popular drive-through restaurants in the core of the city and in the core of the Mission Boulevard corridor, which will hopefully catalyze more investment along the corridor itself. Also, Raising Cane's will be one of the first of its kind in the Bay Area and will be located in Hayward itself. The project will include a grocery store that will serve as a source of organic produce, meats, and products that the community has been asking for a number of years. The project will also result in a significant investment and beautification of a vacant building and an underutilized parcel. Staff has reviewed the requests from the developer for the various warrants and exceptions to the development standards of the former South Hayward BART form-based code and believe that they are justified due to the large size of the project site and in an effort to deliver a very high-quality commercial center. The slide above shows just a few of the goals and policies found within the Hayward 2040 General Plan and Economic Development Strategic Plan that the project will help achieve. A more robust analysis and citation of these goals may be found within attachment 2 of the staff report. With respect to CEQA, or the California Environmental Quality Act, the proposed development is considered categorically exempt from CEQA per sections 15301, 15302, and 15303 for the development of the 2 new drive-through buildings, renovation of the existing building, and related site improvements. Staff did have a vehicle miles traveled, otherwise known as a VMT analysis, prepared by our traffic consultants for this project, which concluded that this project would result in a less than significant traffic impact with regards to CEQA. Therefore, no additional environmental review was required. And with that, staff recommends that the commission approve the site plan review, conditional use permit, warrants, and exceptions for the proposed project based on the required findings and subject to the conditions of approval. This concludes staff's presentation, and the applicant does have a presentation prepared as well. And in terms of individuals that we do have on the call, we have Paul Nguyen, our Economic Development Manager, should there be any questions for him. We have Teresa Wallace, which is the city's on-call CEQA consultant from LSA and Associates. And then we also have Mike Alston and Damian Stefanikis, I hope I said that correctly, from Kittleson and Associates, the city's traffic consultants. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. So we have an applicant presentation now.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Let's hear from the applicant.
Thank you, Marcus. Excuse me. Thank you. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. My name is Will Geyer. I'm a Vice President with Merlone Geyer Partners. I'd like to start by providing a brief background on our company and the history of this project. Merlone Geyer Partners is a real estate investment firm focused specifically on retail properties across the West Coast. We're vertically integrated in that we do all of our own leasing, property management, and design and construction work in-house. And we're based here in the Bay Area and have been in the retail business for almost 30 years. With regard to the project background, we acquired this property from Sears in April of 2019. We started meeting with city staff as early as May to discuss the potential to redevelop the site and better understand the community's priorities here. And staff made it clear that this is an important site for the city, that it had been identified as a catalyst site by the city council, and that it was imperative that any redevelopment of the site include a significant retail footprint. Having heard that feedback, we decided to focus our efforts on an adaptive reuse of the existing building with the goal of revitalizing the site into a lively community shopping center with a variety of restaurants, shops, services, and retailers. We received strong interest from high-quality drive-through restaurants early in our planning process and determined that these restaurants would be a key component to the overall viability of the center and also help attract other high-quality retail tenants to the project. After submitting our application in 2020, we received many public comments calling for a healthy grocery store in this location. We followed up by meeting with several interested community members, and from there focused on securing a specialty grocer. We are very pleased that we've been able to address that need with Sprouts having committed to opening a new grocery store at the project. And we strongly believe that with In-N-Out, Raising Cane's, and Sprouts as anchors, this project will be successful and a great amenity and benefit for the growing South Hayward community. So with that, I'll pass the presentation on to my colleague, Kim Whitney, also with Merlone Geyer.
Kim, are you there?
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello. Sorry about that. Kim Whitney, Project Director of Design and Construction with Merlone Geyer Partners. As Will mentioned, we weren't originally looking at this site for 100% retail, but the catalyst opportunity for this site became pretty apparent to us after engaging with staff and learning more about the economic development objectives of the city. It's kind of a bullseye location along the Central Mission Boulevard corridor, halfway between downtown and the Hayward BART station and the Tennyson and South Hayward BART station, and 1.5 miles away from Cal State East Bay. But we needed a core of premium retail operators new to the area, and we needed to determine if we could increase enough value to an underutilized site that has some acreage for scale and sufficient existing available infrastructure and services. We needed to create a project design to take advantage of the high visibility location and presentation to help attract and support tenant visibility and branding. We spent the last 1.5 years collaborating with staff and have taken the opportunity to meet and speak with members of the community, and we are very pleased to be here tonight to let you know that we believe they answered all these questions, and the opportunity before us is a resounding yes. Our progress on this project was not without some challenges, notably a 46-year-old building structure with a fairly low roofline, a site that drops 15.5 feet from Mission Boulevard down to the BART tracks to the west and 4.5 feet from the front of the store to Harder Road. Satisfying water quality with bioretention but retaining sufficient parking was also important, and how to present the raising canes on pad 1 for sufficient visibility and connectivity given the adjacent large slope on Harder Road. I would like to touch on certain project features and highlights resulting from our effort to date. With respect to project design, we went with a more contemporary style, simple in lines and forms with fairly neutral colors, but incorporate elements and trim features with contrasting colors and materials that include horizontal composite wood siding at areas across the storefronts, vertical wood battens at the east-facing shops to create height, metal awnings with wood-wrapped columns at the shops, metal canopies across the storefronts, architectural metal louvers as insert features across the majors, and for mechanical screening above at the shops and along the west and the rear elevations of the building. Well into our design process, Sprouts came to us and introduced a new prototype that was in the works for all new Sprouts stores with branding to take Sprouts back to their roots as a farmer's market. As Sprouts grew on the project and the project grew on Sprouts, we recognized the Sprouts new design was a great way to punctuate the project and help present one of the best premium grocery retailers in the country. Marcus, if you could turn the page, please. Oh, no, you're already there. I'm sorry. Go back one. Thank you. Go back one more, please. There you go. As you can see, the major one tenant entry is Sprouts. We took the teal green of the Sprouts vertical wood siding double gabled farmhouse entry and found a slate tile that has a naturally occurring copper and iron in the material that has some areas of patina green color in it. We are applying this tile across all storefronts as a wainscot, wrapping entry columns at the major tenant entries and vertical batten columns at the shops, and we're applying it to the outside of cast-in-place planter boxes at our covered outdoor seating areas and around the bases of all of our freestanding signs, ribboning the Sprouts teal green throughout the project. We like this feature a lot. We are very excited about our design and look forward to building it. Raising Cane's In-N-Out will touch on their design and branding after I speak. Please turn the page, Marcus. One more, please. In terms of site design and enhancements, the Pad 1 Raising Cane's building was originally to the west, but was facing away from the rest of the center. The drive-through entry was too close to our main on-site intersection, and there was no safe harbor for overflow queuing and poor pedestrian access. With some great suggestions from staff and Raising Cane's, the current layout emerged 1,000% better, oriented to the rest of the center, direct pedestrian access from Harder to the store entry, and outdoor patio seating area, with strong building visibility and identification to Harder, and ample drive-through queue for 25 cars and room for overflow queuing if needed. The Pad 2 In-N-Out's more straightforward, with also direct pedestrian access from Harder Road to the outdoor patio seating area and their store entry, with strong building visibility and identification to Harder, also ample drive-through queuing for up to 24 cars, and room for overflow queuing on site if needed. Also very proud, the dual palm trees at the corner. Speaking of the In-N-Out drive-through, for those of you Haywardians, I'm not sure if that's the correct word, but love In-N-Out, you've probably frequented the In-N-Outs that are close to Hayward, both 6 miles away in San Leandro and Union City. and wanted you to know this new In-N-Out, the first one in the city of Hayward, that has a 24-car drive-through. The San Leandro In-N-Out has a 9-car drive-through, and the Union City In-N-Out has a 16-car drive-through. We think the new In-N-Out for Hayward is in good shape. In terms of additional site enhancements for pedestrian pathways that Marcus touched on, we start with the new Harder four-way traffic signal at Harder and Dollar with enhanced pedestrian and bicycle connectivity, as well as significantly increased safety for bikes and pedestrians. We added an 8-foot wide pedestrian bike ADA pathway from Harder with enhanced paving, decorative 12-foot high light fixtures for pathway identification and safety. To the front side, from Harder to the front sidewalk of the majors, and from there, front sidewalk Paseo connection to the shops. We noticed there was a lonely looking transit stop over on Mission, so we decided to use this location as a trailhead for an 8-foot wide pedestrian bike pathway. Starting at this location and taking the longer curved route to the building gives us enough pathway length to offset the significant grade difference. We added convenience benches at the transit stop trailhead, and the pathway also has enhanced paving and decorative 12-foot high light fixtures for pathway identification and Safeway to the front sidewalk of the shops. There are also 5-foot wide pedestrian pathways from Harder direct to In-N-Out and a pathway next to McDonald's from Mission to the shops. Our storefront hardscape paseos include enhanced paving, 12-foot high light fixtures for pathway identification and safety, and site furnishings that include planter pots with an oxide color finish to tie into colors in the slate stone tile, recycle waste receptacles, bicycle racks, and bicycle lockers in number that exceed project requirements. We have tables, chairs, and umbrellaed seating by tenants. We have 7 cast-in-place concrete raised planters with slate tile finish that provide a defined edge between outdoor seating areas and the adjacent drive aisle. We gave up some parking to add a larger outdoor seating area with covered overhead trellis at the corner of the shops. The seating will be fixed beer garden-style tables with bench seating. Connecting from the outdoor seating area at the corner of the shops is a pathway across the drive aisle connecting to a covered bicycle parking area that has bicycle racks, bicycle lockers, lighting for visibility and security, and a waste receptacle plus bench seating and a landscape screen hedge along the south and east side, but open to views on the west and the north side for access and direct visibility to and from the outdoor seating areas of the shops. This allows plenty of bike parking, not right on top of the outdoor seating areas, but in view so everyone can keep an eye on their bikes. In addition to satisfying all water quality and energy code requirements, we have added sustainability enhancements to the project that include environmental offset from adaptive reuse of the existing major building. 22 electric car chargers will be installed day 1, with additional infrastructure installed for 8 additional future car chargers. 12 of the installed car chargers exceed project requirements. Photovoltaic solar energy systems will be installed on the roofs of the major building, as well as both drive-through restaurant buildings. The solar system on the major building exceeds project requirements. Marcus, can you turn the page, please? A quick view of some of the site furnishings, benches, etc., and site materials with finishes that tie into color finishes on the building. Speaking of benches, Marcus, could you turn the page, please? We have 8 bench locations within the project, 7 6-foot benches across the storefront paseos and 1 8-foot bench at the covered bike parking area. We are working with a metal artist we have worked with on multiple projects to develop an artworks program for our project benches and possibly a handful of the bike racks. Here are some photos of some of the artworks benches and bike racks previously fabricated for us by our metal artist. We will develop several themes unique for the project that are indigenous to the history of Hayward as the heart of the Garden of Eden, Apricot City, and the heart of the Bay, and likely incorporate agriculture, farming, produce, orchards, flowers, etc., and translate these themes into artwork benches, likely grouped by theme and placed throughout the project. I didn't know this before the project, but our metal artist happened to be born in Hayward, and his family was involved in horticulture and flower production in Hayward, and his grandfather ran the largest cut flower nursery in Hayward, Rod McClellan's Nursery, back in the late 1970s. Can you, next page, please, Marcus? A couple of additional views of some of the artwork. And next page, please, Marcus. I'd like to introduce Brandon Lehman from Raising Cane's to say a few words about Raising Cane's.
Good evening, commissioners, and thank you for the introduction, Kim. My name is Brandon Lehman, and I'm the property development manager for Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. First and foremost, I'd like to express my gratitude for you all allowing me to speak on behalf of Raising Cane's at this evening's Planning Commission hearing. Because I've only got a couple minutes here, I'm going to keep my elevator pitch concise, just like our menu. At Raising Cane's, we do one thing and we do it with excellence, and that's serve fresh, never frozen chicken fingers. For those of you who may not be familiar with our concept, which I assume many of you aren't since we're still fairly new to the Northern California market, here's a crash course history lesson. Raising Cane's founder and CEO, Todd Graves, opened the first Raising Cane's restaurant in 1996 at the North Gates of Louisiana State University's campus. It's my alma mater, by the way, don't hold it against me. The concept was such a hit that it stayed open until 3:30 a.m. on opening night. There are now over 600 locations across 23 states, not to mention those in the Middle East, specifically Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Lebanon. Next slide, please. But I am going to keep it to the intangibles tonight. And what I'm going to speak on goes far beyond chicken fingers and Texas toast. And I'm talking about Raising Cane's greatest asset, which is our culture and community involvement. Raising Cane's values revolve around 6 pillars. Again, I'm going to keep it short and sweet, but you can visit Raising Cane's website. There's a Cane's in Your Community page that will further elaborate on these 6 items. The first of these is education. The second being feeding the hungry. Pet welfare is the third. Active lifestyles, business development and entrepreneurship, especially in our younger generation. There are a few programs that Raising Cane's helps to put on to promote entrepreneurship in children and the upcoming generation. And last, but certainly not least, everything in between. And I mean that in all seriousness, if there's a community need that we don't already address, we have an open door policy. All you need to do is let us know and let me know specifically, and I will pass you on to the appropriate parties, and we'll get something figured out to help the community. We're proud to state that we've given back over $10 million and added over 6,000 new community partners over the year. In fact, it's Raising Cane's standard that each crew member would volunteer with the local organization prior to that restaurant's opening. And if that doesn't move the needle, we'll donate a minimum of $1,000 in opening day earnings to that very same organization. If you're still not convinced, Raising Cane's appoints a community market manager to each of its restaurants across the globe. That individual's sole purpose is to ensure that the restaurant is living up to its mission to give back to the 6 pillars. Next slide, please. I said I was gonna stray away from some of the visual aspects and keep it to the intangibles, but I think there is one certain aspect that's worth speaking on because it's of significant interest to each community in which we develop. And that is our drive-through stack. I'd like to point out that this restaurant will support a larger drive-through stack than any other Raising Cane's currently operate in California. Why is that? First and foremost, we simply don't get large sites like this one very often. So thank you, Kim. We appreciate that. And from an operational standpoint, the dual drive-through lane configuration combined with an improved kitchen layout that's equipped with an extra row of fryers, it contributes to the service of our drive-through customers at a more effective rate than any other restaurant that's currently operating in California. Fun fact, we actually time our service with a stopwatch. Yes, just like the NFL Combine for those who've been following the draft. And we recently hit a new record, and that record is 2 minutes and 28 seconds from the menu board to meal retrieval. Next slide, please. In fact, we can skip down to some of these. I I've got some conclusion notes here. If you want to stay on this slide and the next one for about 30 seconds while I speak on behalf, and then the final slide is the conclusions there. So, all right. So for the grand finale, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts.
We're losing you a little there, Brandon.
Oh, how about now?
That's better.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Few final thoughts is the last thing I heard.
Okay, perfect. Raising Cane's food service is ranked among the highest in the industry. And what do I mean by that? We don't cook meals and leave them under a heat lamp. As soon as our cameras capture a customer either parking or pulling into our drive-through, we start frying product. Thanks to Raising Cane's focus menu, the crew already knows what you're going to order, and that's chicken fingers. A majority of Raising Cane's locations, including this one, are corporate owned, meaning Raising Cane's is able to guarantee the highest quality service time and time again. Not to mention, this is a multi-million-dollar investment for Raising Cane's, one that Cane's intends to protect. So much so that each restaurant employs lot cleaners that periodically survey and inspect the property and rid it of any waste that's been discarded on the premises. Our managers get graded on cleanliness of the lot each day, so they're incentivized to prevent or remediate any trash that's been discarded, on site. If you want to switch to the next slide, that's perfectly fine. And I'll segue here for a second. That's an interior shot of our restaurant. There are several different aspects of the interior that are reminiscent of Raising Cane's #1 in Baton Rouge. Again, anybody listening or following along with us on the Raising Cane's website, there is a page that kind of touches upon each one of those aspects. So, all right, I'll get back to my conclusions. Our local active community involvement makes up the crux of the company's 6 pillars. That's why it shows up twice in our presentation here. As part of that active community involvement and engagement, we very much aim to provide benefit and provide value to each community that we operate within. As part of contributing to those communities, each Raising Cane's location generates up to 50 full and part-time positions, with 6 to 8 of those attributed to managers that have executive level salaries. And last but not least, our building and landscape designs are meant to be reflective of a smart, sophisticated customer demographic. We pride ourselves on using high quality materials and genuine craftsmanship. So in closing, if you take nothing away from this presentation, know this. We're grateful for the opportunity to serve your community, and it's our intention at Raising Cane's and would be our pleasure to contribute to and become a fixture within the great city of Hayward. Thank you all for your time. That last slide is the conclusions there, but I will turn it back over to Mr. Whitney, and I believe In and Out is next on the presentation. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. I'd like to introduce Michelle Bennett from In and Out, if Michelle's on.
I am on. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you, Kim, for the introduction. You guys have done Kim did such a great job introducing us, and the planner. Thank you. I know you guys are very familiar with In and Out. We have some stores close by that Kim had mentioned. He had given you a little bit of back history on the drive-through queues for those stores. And this one is significantly a larger queue for us. This is something that we normally don't always get for our drive-through uses. We don't usually get a queue this long. So this is great. And I just want to kind of touch on a couple things related to our drive-through lane and just kind of how we operate, just to kind of give you guys a kind of a better idea of how we kind of do things. We do have quite a few outdoor cameras staggered at different portions of the site, including about half of those are monitoring the drive-through lane. And we have different monitors inside our stores, by our grills, by our manager's office, throughout the interior part of the kitchen area and the back of house, that are constantly watching our drive-through lane. And we usually have our associates, when our cars start reaching kind of close to the menu box, the menu board and the speaker box, that's usually about the 8th car. We usually have someone out there, either 1 or 2 associates out there with our handhelds, which I'm sure you guys have experienced, who's out there taking orders to keep the cars moving and keep the queue moving quicker, and keep the orders going. So we're constantly monitoring our drive-through lane, and we're really cautious about that. We also have associates that are out in the parking lot. We might have 1, we might have 2, depending on what's going on for the day, that are constantly monitoring our parking lot. We are always checking for trash. We're always picking up and cleaning. So there's always a presence of in and out somewhere outside on our premises, and including, indoors as well in the dining rooms. Also, the store is a larger store than some of our existing stores nearby. The store will have 3 grills and 5 fryers. Usually at opening, we're running at full speed. And depending on, the high demands, they might not use the 3 grills. They might just be using the 2 grills. So, but usually at the opening time, we usually kind of get that first rush, and we need to use all of our equipment at full speed. So that's really kind of it. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but we're very excited about the store. And just so everybody knows, this will be the first in and out to have actual solar panels installed. So we don't have any stores that actually have any solar panels that are going to be installed on it. So this is kind of a new thing for us. So everybody's pretty excited. And we're really excited about the development, and we're really excited about the project. So that kind of concludes mine. If anybody has any questions, any comments, I'm here to answer.
Thank you, Michelle. We'll be getting to questions and comments.
Thank you, Michelle. We'll be getting to questions.
Standing by.
I'd like to introduce now Chuck Kutchko and David McClinton from Sprouts Farmers Market.
Presenter to mute one of her.
Michelle, can you please mute one of her?
Hi, thanks for letting us speak, commissioners and community. We're excited about getting into Hayward. Our closest store is about 20 minutes away, so not very accessible to the community. It was good to hear up front that the people are looking for kind of fresh, healthy alternatives, which is kind of what we're all about. So if you flip to the next slide. We're a farmer's market. We started as a farmer's market many, many years ago in Southern California, and we feel still like that's our roots. I think, and I've worked in the grocery industry and more conventional grocers before, and I think we have the best team members at any other supermarket. I think super passionate team members. We employ about 125 team members per store, and they get a lot of education, so they know a lot about the products, so they can speak well to them. On the next slide, we're different than other supermarkets and even other natural type grocery stores. We spend a lot of time trying to find the right product and get ahead of trends. And we really care about the ingredients that are in our food, and we really care about our team members and what they do. On the next slide, just on the product side of things, 68% of our products have some kind of attribute. So you don't come to a Sprouts if you're looking for Coke and Tide or potato chips. You come to us if you're on a keto diet or a paleo diet, or you really want to eat plant-based or vegan type products or organics, which we do a terrific job on. About 25% of our produce sales are organic. And that's growing, both from a sourcing point of view and from a customer acceptance point of view. On the next slide, we really care about our footprint we leave on the planet. We do a lot of things, both in how we build our buildings and to how we operate our stores to try and have the least amount of impact on the planet as possible. And there's a lot of work that's continually going on as we look again how we build our buildings and kind of how we operate our stores. The other thing too is where we get our product from. We really are pretty adamant about trying to get more responsible source product. Like I said, organic type of products. Examples are on here where 100% of our eggs are cage free now. 23% of our sales for the store are organic products. And we're constantly looking at our suppliers to make sure, there's good sustainability. Our seafood program, we have 100% sustainable seafood now. We're really proud of that as well. On the next slide, for the community, we have a Sprouts Foundation. One of the big things we've done that I'm really proud of is we've engaged with a lot of communities to plant community gardens. We do these in general areas and communities. We've done a lot at schools. The thing I like about it, and I've built a couple of them myself, is it really gets young people understanding how product grows, the benefits of it from a health point of view, and it really gets getting them involved early has been a great thing for their education. We have $1.6 million in grants and donations. And again, every day we get more applications, and if things are needed in the community, we're pretty engaged in things like that. From a team member point of view, I love being part of a fast growing young company. We promoted 7,200 team members last year. 55% were female, 49% ethnically diverse. And as we build new stores, we need store managers. 72% of our store managers came from internal hires. So we really believe in kind of promoting from within. On the next slide is just some pictures of our new format. So we spent about a year trying to develop a new format, really trying to get back to our roots as a farmer's market, try and get more bright and airy and exciting inside the store, and really talk more about what we do, which is very different from other grocery stores. So if you go to the next slide, just more bright and airy, very well lit. But what you'll see throughout the store is these call outs where our chicken program is there's no antibiotics used ever. We will be selling 100% Angus grass-fed beef. So again, things that are good for you to eat, but also really care about what goes into them as well. If you go to the next slide, that green thing there is a plant-based case. Everything in there is plant-based. So we know that's a growing trend. We really want to get after things like that and do the right thing for our customers, what they want. We'll have self-checkout in the store as well as full-service checkout. And that's a new addition to stores we've been putting in that have been very well received. On the next slide, produce is kind of where we started, and I think we do a great job at that. We buy a lot of local produce. We have a distribution center in Union City, not too far away. We have local buyers that make a conscious effort to buy locally in and around the area, and we're kind of doubling down on those areas with local farmers. And the next slide is just something cool. We're just starting to put these in. So this is a lot of exclusive type items. They're all new items, but we deal a lot with very small suppliers, new people, entrepreneurs that really want to get going. We're actually featuring a whole area for these types of items so we can get small businesses growing really fast. So we've made a lot of small businesses over the year very successful. We think we can do that and offer very interesting items that most other retailers would not carry or couldn't carry because they're only offered at Sprouts. And the next slide is just the final slide here. It's thanking each community, but we're definitely feeling like we're a farmer's market. So that's kind of the thing we leave people with is everything you love about a farmer's market, open 7 days a week, rain or shine. And that goodness grows there is all the different things we would do for this community in specific. So I really appreciate the time and thank you very much.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. I would like to thank staff and our design team for all the good work over the past 12 to 18 months. It's really been a collaborative effort, and everybody has really done a great job. We're excited to be here with you and appreciate your consideration and support for this exciting new project for Hayward. And we are all here to answer any questions you may have this evening. We really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for those presentations. I'd like to do something different if the commissioners don't mind. Because we had such a long presentation period this evening, I'd like to go to the public comments because people have been waiting online and let them have their say. So as long as everyone can shake their head and tell me they're okay with that, then we'll combine our questions and our opinions. Great. And it might streamline things and help me from interrupting people during the question period. Okay, great. So Ms. Chan, hopefully you're okay with that, and we can go to public comments at this time and let people have their say since they've been waiting a while for us.
Thank you, Chair. At this time, we have three people with their hands up, but let me read the disclaimer for anybody who's called in. So if you wish to speak and you're using the Zoom application, please click the raise hand button. If you are dialing in, press *9 to raise your hand on the phone and use *6 to unmute yourself when called to speak. If you are streaming the meeting through Zoom on your computer, but dialing in via phone, please mute yourself so that there is no feedback sound during the meeting. If there is disruptive feedback or excessive noise during the meeting, your audio will be disabled. All right, so the first person I'm going to call on will be Mayan Fidel. Mayan, please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, sweet. My name is actually Anthony Fidel, and I can't figure out how to change my 13-year-old son's name off of here. I set it up at some point, but very well thought out presentation. That was excellent to sit here and be to experience that. So thank you, council members. I live here in the Bunker Hill neighborhood off of Maitland Drive. And I get a sense that we were really heard and listened to, and the concerns of having something closer to us, and as well as the university was, I don't know, I lost my place, but yeah, I think that this is a huge benefit to our area. And it's going to help everybody's property values as well. And it's just overall healthy for the students, especially. They have somewhere to go and then come back, and who knows, maybe there'll be a new brewery there. That's what I'm kind of hoping for, just to kind of break things up in Hayward a little bit. Can't have Buffalo Bills having all the fun. And then was just wondering, two questions, and I don't want to hurt, Sprouts' feelings or anything, but I was wondering if Whole Foods was reached out to. I love Sprouts, by the way, so don't get me wrong. And I'm glad you're coming in. And just the other question is security issues, because there is a lot of homeless populations out here, and so how will that be handled? Those are my basic questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Please mute yourself. Thank you. The next speaker will be Carl Goringe. Carl, please unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good evening, Planning Commission. I was recently following a post on social media about this project, and my friend Rocky, a former transit director, brings up the idea of building an infill BART station here. And he said it was possible if Hayward would only push BART on the idea. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be such a great idea? Fremont's getting a third station at Irvington. Why not Hayward? This could be a unique opportunity to create a new CSU East Bay BART station in Student Village. Let's make it walkable like Oakland's Fruitville Station, including a grocery store and cafe with ground floor retail, a courtyard, and student housing on top. Was this ever been considered? I haven't seen any mention of a BART station in any of the comments. It's located about halfway between downtown and South Hayward BART, and since the tracks are at ground level, may not be as expensive, and perhaps Biden's upcoming infrastructure bill could help finance it. A few weeks ago, during the Economic Development Committee meeting, a developer proposed a mixed student housing and retail project for the Mission Crossing site down the road. I like their plan, but I think it would have been much better if it were located here at a new student village and station. The campus shuttle bus could make more efficient trips between this new station and campus. Unbundled parking would work really well here, along with a new healthy grocery store, dining and shopping. I wish we could have thought of this earlier. Maybe we have, I don't know. I'm sure it would have widespread support. We have plenty of drive-through fast food restaurants already. There's a McDonald's right next door. We should be designing for walkability and for fewer cars. What we have here, maybe a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to add a third BART station to Hayward. It's too bad that we're squandering it on a couple of drive-through restaurants, which could be placed anywhere. Also, who's moving into Lincoln Landing if Sprouts is moving here? Not that I mind. Thank you.
Thank you. And maybe hold on, because maybe some of these questions will get answered later. Thank you. Next caller, Denise.
Thank you. The next caller is Kim Huggett. Kim, please unmute yourself. Kim, are you there? Go ahead. Go ahead, Kim. Unmute yourself, please.
There we go. Thank you, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Kim Huggett, President and CEO of the Hayward Chamber of Commerce. A letter is in your packet relating the unanimous endorsement of this project by the Hayward Chamber of Commerce Government Relations Council, which is a diverse group of 16 Hayward business leaders. I'm especially pleased to see Mr. Mendel here tonight because so many elements associated with this project have been brought up as priorities of the Hayward City Council over recent years. This project checks off so many priority boxes. It retains important strategic space for commercial tax generating uses. It provides 2 drive-through restaurants that are new and unique to Hayward. Sprouts is new and unique. It's a grocery store long needed in South Hayward, and it's going to attract neighboring high-end retailers. The site will create jobs in a community that at one point in the pandemic had suffered 5,600 layoffs, according to the Workforce Development Board. And with the development of the Mission Boulevard Transit Corridor, improved AC transit service to this location is assured. And the project has attracted a developer with a nationwide reputation for developing first-class grocery-anchored centers. I encourage you to support what will become a tremendous amenity and an economic asset for the city of Hayward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. The next speaker is Chris. Chris, please unmute yourself. Chris, can you please unmute yourself? Okay. Let's go to the next person with a hand up. Xander. Please unmute yourself, Xander.
Hi there. Just wanted to say that as a resident of the new Sohey development down the road, we're about a half mile from BART here, and we're about 1.5 miles from this site. And we desperately need the retail that's proposed. I look forward personally to cycling. It's easily cyclable to get there. So I encourage you all to approve this project. I think it's great. I think we need it and cannot wait for it to open. The only question I have is there any estimated timeline on the construction? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Xander. The next speaker will be Marcella. Marcella, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the committee for such a detailed presentation to give the public a thorough understanding of what this could do to our community. I don't have any questions, but I would just like to say I'm extremely supportive, along with other members in the community who have generated letters of support for this particular retail center. I can't encourage enough that it be approved. It is addressing part of the huge problem which has existed for 10 years the lack of sufficient grocery stores in the city of Hayward, especially when we see the explosion of all of the multiple dwellings that are going on in the city, yet we have few grocery stores to meet the demand of the population, which is about to explode. So once again, thank you for the professional presentation. I am in support. My group is in support of the new retail center. And once again, I call on City Council to approve the project. I will keep updated and informed about the progress. And once again, thank you so much.
Thank you for waiting us to get back to you, Marcella.
No problem.
Okay, we have when Chris is back again. Chris, please unmute yourself.
No, it's like you're not allowed there.
We hear you now. Oh, we did for a minute.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. My name is Chris and I live on Westview Way. And it's good to see Almondal back in working for Hayward. Just wanted to throw our support for this project. Not sure I'd like to smell in and out every day, but I think it'll be good for the community. So we do think that it will increase traffic in the area. And we just want to say that the Planning Commission should take that into consideration when they're developing Parcel 5 and in relation to the density for Parcel 5. And that's it. So thank you very much. And we're excited for the project.
Thank you.
Chair, at this time, we don't have any other speakers.
Yep, that's what I see too. Okay, I'll just wait a minute here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, because everyone else has been waiting. They must not want to comment at this time. Okay, then I will close the public comment period for this item and move to commissioner questions / comments this evening. So hopefully the applicant's still there for questions, and staff, of course, I know is available for questions. So let me go first. Let's see, I see some hands raised. Commissioner Kendall, I'll go to you first.
Thanks, Chair. Really appreciate staff and the applicants. Marcus, great job on the presentation. I was questioning at first, when I saw the two drive-ins. Honestly, and no hard feelings. High school, college, have fond memories of In-N-Out. Saving me on study nights. So I really appreciate that. I think the thing I'm most excited about on this project is Sprouts, but I do have some questions before I get to more of my comments here. Sprouts did present a little bit about what they're sort of intending to pay some of their employees. So I have first a question about the sort of for In-N-Out reps and Raising Cane's rep, what the proposed sort of number of employees that you will see on site, and potentially, what kind of wages are intended to be paid to those folks. I just want to, what's the kind of hiring goals? Those are just some things that I'd initially like answered if the applicants or the proposed tenants would be able to speak to that.
Hey, Brandon, you want to answer for Raising Cane's, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll speak first to numbers in terms of what our hiring intentions are. Specific to this location, we will be employing anywhere between 45 and 50 employees total. And 6 to 8 of those employees are going to be executive level salaries. Without getting into numbers, that's upwards five figures. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we've got as a whole. I'll also offer this up. Each shift that we have is manned or womaned by 2 managers, and then there's a total of 12 employees. So 2 of those 12 employees are manager level. The other 10 are working either on the cook line or at the registers. So that's, in a nutshell, a little bit about what our hiring intentions are, and a little bit about our wages. Excuse me. I'll also offer this up because I am intimately involved with our corporate structure. There is, and I know we're headquartered in Plano, and this is in Hayward, California, but it's not uncommon that our employees who start either behind the register or on the cook line do work their way up into pretty prominent roles. There are several of them who have come from restaurants that I work with on a regular basis. I'll turn it over to In-N-Out.
Can I ask one quick follow-up question for you, Brandon?
Yeah.
If you don't mind, just on that point. So, the Bay Area is an expensive place to live. We have an affordable housing crisis, that we're kind of dealing with statewide essentially, but it's really bad here. And so from my standpoint as commissioner, I do think a lot about when we're looking at commercial, being able to make sure that employees that are coming in for those businesses are paid living wages. And so, there is a proposed minimum wage sort of scale that's moving through the city of Hayward right now that you're probably aware of, in planning for this site. But I did want to ask about, is your intention just straightforward to be paying sort of minimum wages for entry level employees, or do you have, Sprouts, for example, just posted in their presentation that it was, I think, over $17 an hour was the wages that they were, tend to pay, or at least for proposing to pay for employees they're hiring. So I was just curious about where you all stand on that. If that's been determined, it would be helpful to have an answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I won't lie to you. I don't know figures, but I can tell you that our salaries are competitive, and it has never been Raising Cane's intention to pay the bare minimum or minimum wage. I'm sure I could connect you with somebody in our organization who can kind of give you a little more thorough answer on that, and maybe provide a little bit of solace there. But I can definitively tell you that minimum wage is not par for the course with Raising Cane's.
Great. Thank you for that information. And then would happy to be here from Michelle from In-N-Out, what that looks like.
Commissioner Kenda, if you wouldn't mind, I was just going to say, we'll probably be on this call for a while, Brandon. If you can maybe try to get that answer for us while we're continuing our discussion, that might be helpful.
That would be great, Roche.
I'll look into it. I do have to apologize. We're in the central region, so it's a little after 10 over here. I don't know how many people I'll be able to get in touch with, but if you don't have my contact information, I'm happy to share it and continue the conversation.
Okay, just because we're making the decision tonight, so now is the pertinent time for that information. So whatever you can do to get Commissioner Kenda that information would probably be helpful for the discussion. Thanks. Sorry, Commissioner Kenda, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Would be happy to hear from Michelle Bennett from.
Sure. So number of employees, obviously when we open new stores in a new community, we always hire local first. If we're having a hard time getting local kids to hire, then we'll go to transfers from other stores. Maybe there's some other kids, young associates that live closer to Hayward that maybe, want to transfer from another store. So we usually, but we always want 100% hire locally first. So that's always our first goal. We always want to hire our community first, especially the store that we're doing business in. We usually have about 3 shifts per day. We usually average about 10 to 15 associates. We have different level managers, and then we have our main store manager. So there's always one of our level managers is on one of those shifts at all times. And so we do have 3 shifts per day, and sometimes there's a little bit of overlap between first and second shift and second and third shift, and that's just because of the lunch and dinner rushes. So there's like, if there's a lot of rush going on, there's going to be some overlapping where we're going to have a lot more people all of a sudden in the back of house, the back of kitchen area while they're switching shifts. I think you did ask about pay. I know in this area we pay a little bit higher, the Northern California area. I know that I think we're averaging 15 to 17 to start. I don't know exactly the exact amount for the store, but I know in the northern area, we tend to pay a little bit higher, just the cost of living. Mm-hmm. But I'm not shared that information. That's above my pay grade. But that's about average of what I'm hearing from other people in my department. Is kind of what our average is. But I do know we pay our associates very well. We're very competitive in our salaries, and that accounts for why we just don't have a huge turnover. Everybody's happy. We take care of our employees. We have wonderful benefits. We have a lot of options for our associates as far as different programs. So we're one big, huge family, and everybody takes care of each other. So I hope I answered your questions. If you had any more questions.
I appreciate it. You did give a answer, and could you mute Michelle? There's a feedback loop.
Oh, you're cutting out. Sorry. Say that again. Did you ask me a question? You're cutting out.
No, I didn't ask a question. I think you're getting some feedback.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to unmute?
Yes, please.
Mute. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, no, I appreciate your answer. That was helpful. I do feel a little bit more sort of like I have better information from both you and Brandon on that, and that was just helpful. I have a question for the applicant, the developer. I did do some research, I'll say on the different developments that you've had up and down the sort of the West Coast. I do feel pretty good about MGP coming in and being the applicant here for this development. I think it could have, they have a good track record. So, that makes me feel really comfortable with the site layout and how, and knowing and having, and being, feeling confident that, what will come from this project will be good work and will really be a benefit to the city. I had a question for MGP, though, the applicant specifically about whether this project development has had any interest from local unions in any part of the project proposals.
This is Kim. I haven't received any inquiries at this time or at this juncture. So I'm currently not aware of any, but
okay.
It doesn't mean as we continue to progress, those may evolve, but just none today.
Understood. Thank you for that. That's all my questions for now. And I think I'll just say for my comments, I'm excited about the parking, electric charge situation. I'm really excited about a Sprouts. I know that my wife drives outside of Hayward sometimes to get some of those other, go to some of the more higher end upscale grocery stores. I'm a Lucky's and Safeway person just out of convenience, but I've always, I'm really interested in bringing more of that sort of more higher quality food, frankly, through a Sprouts. It's really exciting for our community. And I do think that the two anchor stores here, Raising Cane's, interesting food option. I'd be excited to try it if we end up moving forward on this thing, and obviously, and that's a good addition. And I think that the rest of the layout, as I think one of the callers, Kim Huggett from Chamber of Commerce mentioned, it really does suit well on the site for bringing in additional strong commercial sort of commercial tenants and other businesses to that area. So that's kind of my starting place here. And I'll let the rest of the commissioners kind of have the floor. I appreciate
Thank you, Commissioner. Great. Thank you. Commissioner Ali Sullivan.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll try and be very brief here based on the very comprehensive presentations we just got. A couple quick questions for Marcus, if you will. So I have three here. First off, the grading. Obviously, there's a significant differentiation between the grade at Harder and at Mission. Is there any grading that needs to be done? It wasn't clear to me in the presentation, or if you're going to continue to maintain that big differential that's on site.
Yeah, I believe there will be some grading on site just to really accommodate the site improvements, which would include the landscaping and the bioretention. With respect to like exactly what the conditions will be post-development, I think the applicant does have his project civil engineer on the line if they want to jump in and give you that clarification you're looking for.
Not necessarily. I was just wondering if it's going to be flattened or if you were going to sort of maintain somewhat of that differentiation. So let's see, the second question here on electric charging. And thanks to my fellow commissioner for raising that just now. I believe the applicant mentioned there were going to be 22 charging sites. I did not see that as one of the conditions of approval. I might have missed it. If I did, please let me know. 22 out of approximately 450 parking spots, I think, on the total site seems woefully low as a percentage. And so I'm wondering if there's any requirements that be higher. It just seems very surprising to me, particularly for a grocery store and the way that the community is shifting towards electric vehicles, that you'd have such a low amount.
Yeah, really quickly, I just want to touch on the grading question really quick. There will still be a grade differential the closer you start getting to the BART overpass, because it's probably not getting to grading territory you want to get to. And then with respect to your question on the electrical vehicle chargers, there is a minimum requirement that's prescribed within CalGreen, which is the California Energy Code. It's part of the building code standards. And this project is actually exceeding that on a voluntary basis. So they are going above and beyond. In terms of memorializing that requirement, we do have a standard umbrella condition of approval that basically states that when the project comes before us for either a building permit phase or a grading permit, or both likely, we want to make sure that reflects the plan set that is before you today. And on the plan set, it does identify the quantity of the electrical vehicle chargers.
Perfect, thank you. I'd say to the applicant, to Mr. Whitney, that you might look into additional chargers because I'm sure they'll be utilized. The last quick questions I have for the applicant and for Mr. Lehman, if you don't mind, the hours of operation, it seemed very late to me that the store would be open till 2:30, particularly when nothing else in that location is going to be open that late. Do you have any concerns around security issues or maintenance? It just seems very late to me. I'm curious why that's the hours of operation.
Yes, Commissioner Ali Sullivan. So I'll speak on behalf of that. Raising Cane's does, at least in California, these hours are our typical hours of operation. I will also offer that we have made some concessions to limit some of our hours. We've recently, I guess, revised them to be 9 to 3:30 a.m. 7 days a week. However, we do understand that there's a life safety consideration that needs to be had. To that effect, I will also offer that we do have a series of, we've got a team specifically that's geared towards installation of security systems, cameras, things to keep our crew members safe, as well as our customers. Our sites are well lit. We do have a series of cameras that are mounted on the building, specifically at areas that are either difficult to see or entries into the building. And then we also work with local law enforcement if necessary to provide that added level of security there to keep really everybody in the shopping center and everybody that frequents Raising Cane's safe, all the way down to providing a camera that looks at our dumpster enclosure to prevent or deter anyone from trying to hide in there or anything like that.
Marcus, did the police department have any comments on that, the hours of operation?
They did not have any comments or concerns on that application.
Okay.
And really quick, Commissioner.
Marcos, this is Greg, and I haven't spoken yet. I'm going to have a couple comments and then I'll speak at the end, but this is one I would like to share with Alex.
Mr. Gersten, just 1 minute, if you will. I just wanted to make sure Ali Sullivan got his questions heard, and I think Marcus wanted to chime in. So if Commissioner Ali Sullivan has a question for you to continue on that item, then I'm going to let him ask that. So Marcus, will you continue with what you were going to say?
Right. Thank you, Ms. Gersten. Just a moment. Sorry, Commissioner Ali Sullivan, just to backtrack on one of the questions you mentioned regarding an increased amount of electrical vehicle chargers. The applicant did mention it, Mr. Whitney did. I'm hoping I'm getting the number right. They are only installing 22 EV chargers, but they are also putting in the infrastructure to add 8 additional more in the future should that demand increase. So that way it's EV ready. So
appreciate that. And Mr. Lehman, thank you for the comprehensive presentation. I didn't go to LSU, but I got to give you a Go Tigers. The last comment or question I have for Mr. Whitney, which one of my neighbors actually called in. I appreciate the engagement from the local community here. Do we have a sense of the timeline that this development process would take? It'd be interesting to hear what your current timelines look like.
Yeah, the timeline, as we continue to progress, we expect to start construction this October. And then we would complete sometime next August, deliver spaces to tenants, and then the tenants would complete their work and open sometime within the first quarter of 2023.
Perfect. As a local, I can say we can't have that sprout soon enough. So perfect. I'll save my...
We're ready to go.
Yeah, Chair Roche, I'll save my comments till the end of the question period.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Let's see. Commissioner Bonilla.
Thank you, Commissioner Roche. So I'm really excited to see how this project is going to transform the community, and particularly that corner. I remember being a kid going to Kmart and walking to Harder School after I stopped by Kmart in the morning. So I'm very excited about this new project. But, you know, I think one of the questions that I have is why is, and I've read all the documentation, but why is Sprout so tied to these fast food restaurants? You know, like I think we're, at least what I've heard from the community and those that I've spoken to, is we're very excited about Sprouts. I'm just not sure that there's the same excitement for In-N-Out and for Raising Crane's chicken fingers. So Marcus, maybe you can kind of just talk a little bit more about how tightly coupled those are. And if the two don't come, is Sprouts really going to pull out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I could give a sentence and then I'm probably going to defer to the applicant, Mr. Gersten, and I'll let Mr. Gersten also introduce himself. My understanding is Raising Cane's and In-N-Out is really driving the traffic volume and the customer volume for the entire site to really support the Sprouts coming in. So if it's okay with you, Commissioner Bonilla, I can pass it on to Mr. Gersten to answer that.
Sure.
Yeah, Ray, thank you. That's a great question. Greg Geertsen, I'm one of the senior partners at Merlone Geyer, and we have done these kind of, that's what we specialize in, is these, we buy old projects. If you go on our website, you'll see how we buy all these old shopping centers and Kmart's and Sears, and we transform them into something better. That's our job. And with that comes a combination of the right tenant mix. It's not about one tenant, it's about multiple tenants, and they all have to work together. And we do not like centers as investors. We're a private REIT. We don't like centers that are empty. And so we really work hard on combining tenant mix that works together. And I think a couple of the questions that were asked is who's going in the other major spaces? And I want to answer that right now. So we've got right next to Sprouts, I just signed an LOI with a national brand furniture clothing company that everybody's going to know, generates a lot of sales tax revenue and traffic, that likes to be next to grocery. I have another LOI I'm working on in our last junior box space on the far west side. And we have a huge amount of interest on the shop space. Because this group together, when you look at who they are and what they do. And it's the best of the best, right? We've got Sprouts. We have this other clothing furniture company that you're all going to like, and another third anchor. And out of the 3 top fast food companies in our opinion, which we have a lot of them, we've done deals with all these guys, and it's basically Raising Cane's, Chick-fil-A, and In-N-Out. Those are the best guys. They pay the best wages. Their staff is top at the top. They maintain their properties. They participate in community involvement. And so it's really a combination of all the tenets that make these properties good. And if we don't do that, we end up with empty shopping centers. And that's not our goal. It's not our goal for the communities. And if you go on our website, you can go through pretty much hundreds of shopping centers that we've done and converted and tried to make this work. And so that's kind of where we're going with this. And when we looked at this, I know one of the other commissioners had a question about Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and Sprouts. We do multiple deals with these guys. And so when we find these properties, the first thing I do is I make those phone calls. And who has a hole, who needs something here, who's making a difference, and that's who we come up with. And so we think that the mix on this property will make it busy, which we all want. You know, everybody complains when the parking lot's empty, but we want customers coming in here, and we think this will be a very, very successful project with the tenant mix that all go together. It's not one. It's not Sprouts needing In-N-Out. It's not In-N-Out needing Sprouts. It's all of these guys working together. This is a very small project. Let's be real. This is a small retail project, and it's going to be full, and it's going to be busy, and we're going to lease space to local mom and pops in these shop space next to Sprouts, which we already have interest in. We haven't really pushed that because we haven't announced all the tenants that are coming. But it's going to be 100% full, and it's going to be busy. It's going to be a great little location. And so we think the mix is the right mix, and that's why we're going this direction.
Got it. And I get that it's relatively a small project for you, but it's such a big impact in our small community. I think that's where we just want to make sure that we're being diligent and prudent in the decisions that we're making. And, and I think the next question I have is around the grocery store itself, and these other businesses that are coming in, which include Sprouts and In-N-Out. So when I was, just looking at and thinking about the average income of Hayward, right? Let's say it's around $86,000, $85,000 a year, and we have Sprouts and In-N-Out and these kind of more expensive businesses moving in. I really appreciate what you were saying around ensuring that we're reserving other tenant space, or at least giving priority to local small businesses to move into what seems to be like a pretty promising development here.
Thank you.
And then also, just kind of going back to Raising Cranes for a moment, we heard a lot about what In-N-Out is doing, and I feel really comfortable about them being a strong partner in the community. They talked about having people in the parking lots and picking up trash. They talked about the salaries they were going to be paying. What about Raising Cranes? Are you guys going to have kind of, people in the parking lot making sure the community is safe, and also around the benefits for the employees that are going to be working there? I can see that the salaries might be attractive to somebody who is younger or a college student, but I really kind of want to go back to what is the pay that we're going to be paying these people, because in some cases, these can be adults working there too. So my question is, I really kind of want to go back to the pay. I think 5 figures is quite a vast spectrum, anything from 10,000 to 999. And then also college tuition reimbursement and other such benefits that you're going to offer to our community when you come here.
And Ray, before we go to Canes, there's a couple things that I think we need to respond to. One was security. because the question came up with security for In-N-Out Burger.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gerson, I'm just trying to like keep the meeting moving along quickly. I think Mr. Bonilla was trying to get a question out of Raising Cane's first. So if we can do that first, and then we can circle back if people want to get back to the security question. Is that okay, Commissioner Bonilla?
Sure. And then, the gentleman that's speaking, Chair Roche, if since it's going to be such a big community development, I would love to know if he's willing to adopt a street, adopt a block, or, what we're going to be doing outside of that direct development to help continue to beautify our community that we're building in.
All right. Do you want that from Mr. Gersten?
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Gersten, go ahead. I think I had a question for you about the adopt a block.
I'm not sure what that means.
It means contributing more to the community beautification in Hayward outside of just that on your own property. So if there was a neighborhood in the community that was adjacent to your small but yet impactful development, would you be willing to sign up to have your people go out and clean the neighborhood and make sure that things outside of your direct property are beautified in the city as well? It's more of a broader community benefit than just your development.
What I'm willing to say is that we'll look at it. We've adopted a lot on this project, from bioswales to bike lanes to traffic signals, and we've really tried to go overboard. Solar panels on the whole larger building on this property, which is very rare, and In-N-Out Burger with solar panels. So we've spent a lot of money, or we're going to spend a lot of money on this project to try to do things that are way and above anything that we're being asked to do. And so I would say, that's what we're willing to do right now. Beyond that, I really can't answer that, but we've really tried to do way more than what's being asked of us on the project specific.
Thank you. I hope that you guys would be able to find a way to do more within the broader community. Those are the last.
The tenants are also offering that, right? So all of our tenants are offering to do that too. So I think you're going to see a lot more than any project that's been approved in Hayward in a long time from this little group of tenants.
So what is Raising Cane's offering to do?
Commissioner Bonilla, I believe you might have got Raising Cane's and In-N-Out mixed up.
No, I think I'm good with what In-N-Out is doing. I think my concern is more around the corporate citizenship of Raising Cane's.
Yeah, so I'll speak to that, Commissioner Bonilla. How you doing? So going back to the 6 pillars, and I gave kind of a high level synopsis of those in the interest of time, but I'll just kind of touch on those, and then I'll also offer an anecdote that I myself was involved in not too long ago, whenever COVID kind of really took hold. So to speak on behalf of the 6 pillars, I'm going to list them off and give a little bit of a brief summary. So education is
super brief because it's getting late and other commissioners have comments. So just get right to the punchline.
And I think we've seen a slide on the 6 pillars. I'm not sure you need to go over that, Brandon. Maybe just answer his questions directly.
Thank you.
Okay. And look, those are on the website. If you hover over each one, there is a better description than I could probably do justice for. But to speak on behalf of one of your specific questions about what are we doing for crew members in terms of their education, whether we're helping financially in that something in that vein. I will say that Raising Cane's does offer scholarships. And then to speak anecdotally, whenever COVID hit, there's a Raising Cane's that's 20 minutes up the road from me. It actually, one of my colleagues realized that there was a vehicle that had been sitting behind a grocery store for going on several weeks, and come to find out one day they knocked on the door and they realized that it was a Raising Cane's employee that had been sleeping in her car with her husband and walking to work. And so once that was realized, it was actually brought to my attention and passed all the way up to the highest level. and Raising Cane's actually paid for several weeks of housing for that particular crew member. But that's again, that's just a snapshot. That's one example of the community involvement, how much we care for the employees that work for Raising Cane's.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Bonilla. Let's move on to Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you. And thank you for the applicant and the tenants. I appreciate this super high quality design. I'm completely in support of this project. I just have one question for the applicant. And it sort of surrounds a lot of what we've been hearing about recently about the death of brick and mortar and how the internet is destroying retail. I'm assuming since you're investing lots of money in this grand project, you have a theory about how retail works. And I'd love to hear a little bit about your thoughts and your approach to retail and what it means in the next 20 or 30 years.
So this is Greg. So we can, am I on?
Yes.
Okay. So I can take 7 hours and talk about this because it's been a phenomenal and interesting 24 months, but I'm going to keep it really short. We invest most of our portfolios in grocery anchored centers, and the tenants at grocery drug anchored centers, and the tenants go along with them because we believe that's something that's not going away. And some of the things you'll see in our portfolio are some malls we bought. Those are going to get tore down. So I completely agree. We agree as a company. And that's why we're going with the top of the line grocery companies and the top of the line pharmaceutical companies. And the part of the design that Kim Whitney explained to you guys is this outdoor seating. We've changed a lot of the designs on our shopping centers because of COVID to have extended patios so that if in fact this happens again, our restaurant, fast food, casual guys have an outdoor place to be. And so we've added this in, and we are adding it in on all of our properties because we've all learned through this and because we've all had to put tents in our shopping centers and the parking lots. So we're changing the way we're doing things. And the mix, the tenant mix in this shopping center, and when you hear who's coming next to you, you'll understand that these are the guys that have actually done really, really well with COVID, and they've done really well with the internet. And it's a great question. It's changing, and it's not necessarily in these kind of properties, mostly in the big malls and the big, I would say some of the big power centers are changing. And we're changing with it. We're following it. That's our business. This property won't be affected by it. And we've incorporated into this property what we think will work for the long term because, that's what we're about.
Are the majors developed as cold shells and then the tenants build them out?
It's a combination. So it depends on the tenant, right? So like Sprouts, just to get in the weeds a little bit. So Sprouts, they like to do their own build out. So we build out all the site work. We do all the buildings. We do all the exteriors. We do all the offsite improvements. And then Sprouts likes to do their internal improvements because they're a grocery store. And as you know, they tear up the slabs. They got underground utilities and plumbing. They got stuff going everywhere. That's not a good landlord thing to do. The tenant going next to them, I almost said their name, we will build that out for them because that's the way they do things. So it kind of depends on the tenants. The two restaurants out on the pads, we delivered them a site. We do all the site work. All the bioswales, we do all that work. They build their own buildings. So it kind of depends on the tenant and who they are and what they like to do. But we're a very financially strong development company, so we have no problem building stuff out for these tenants.
And then is it fair to say if one of the majors cannot be leased, would you demise it and adjust that for some other fit? Is that a strategy that you might employ moving forward?
Yeah, it's such a small tenant. Robert, it's such a small shopping center that we've got, half of at least right now. Like I said, I signed an LOI for the other 28,000 feet. I personally signed that LOI. That's going through real estate committee right now on their side. And so what's left is a 22,000 plus or minus square foot space. That's all we have here. And frankly, I like to wait a little bit because if I can, once this project gets approved, when I can announce that to the community and to the real estate community, we have one space left as an anchor. The shop space here, there is so many people that want to be next to these tenants. We have the top line tenants here. And so those little shop spaces are going to I have 3 LOIs right now that I haven't even dealt with because it's going to be very high demand.
Thank you for your answers. Back to you, Chair Roche.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Goldstein.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I think Al had his hand raised before I did. Al, do you want to go ahead? So you're okay? All right. Thank you.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Thank you. Thanks, Al. So, and are we doing questions only or questions and comments?
It's kind of combined right now. So I think you can get them both out there if you want to, just in the, trying to speed us up a little bit. So
I'll do my best to be brief. I had a question for Marcus, if you're still with us, about BART. The question comes up a lot in that particular space, whether we ever had a conversation with BART about using that space, what kind of response we might have gotten from them, and maybe even more importantly, if we go ahead with this project tonight, are we ruling out any future potential BART station there? Or is there potential for BART to do some kind of a overhead platform type of station there?
Yeah, I'll try to answer that the best I can. I think it's a loaded question and a little bit kind of out of my purview, but to ask your question, I don't believe the city was contacted by BART regarding any potential of converting the site entirely or a portion thereof into some form of BART station. Understanding where COVID levels are right now, I'm not sure if BART anticipates bouncing back on their ridership levels. I know that they have kind of hit an all-time low due to COVID, and people are still kind of anxious to ride public transit with the whole COVID situation going on. So with respect to the infrastructure that they're willing to put in building another station, I can't say that's a strong reality. I won't rule it out, but I don't know. It would be really up to BART to have that discussion with the city.
Okay, understood.
Commissioner Goldstein, just to add one little piece of information responsive to your question, BART does have the power of eminent domain. So if they wanted to take property for a new station, this approval or this project wouldn't stop them from doing that.
I see. Okay, thank you for making that clear. I assumed that was the case, but wasn't sure if we opened a conversation with them. All right, thank you for that. I appreciate it. A couple comments. I am fairly active on the Nextdoor app, and a lot of the other residents that have heard about this project. So as for me not to create a potential conflict of interest or appearance of it, I don't make any comments about pending projects, except maybe informational, hey, this is coming. But there are other residents who are aware of what's coming. They have posted online. And I just have to tell you that the flood of comments on that app are all very much in favor. And they appreciate that Sprouts is coming. I mean, that's honestly, I can hear people cheering in my neighborhood. They do like that idea. And I had an opportunity while I was in Denver. I happened to be in Denver for my daughter's ice hockey tournament during the big storm that they had a month or so ago. And I think it was the fourth snowiest record dump in Denver's history. And while I was there, I had an opportunity to eat at a Raising Cane's. It's good food. And, you know, so I'm glad that you're coming here. In fact, I even said something to my daughter about that. Wouldn't that be nice if they were in our neighborhood? And lo and behold, here we are. And overall, I really admire the thought that has gone into this project. I know we've had several conversations leading up to this. Argus, you did a great job shepherding all the bits and pieces. You know, it's a lot to take in. You know, we have a very active, vocal community here that knows what they want, and they've been very expressive. And I just really appreciate everybody coming together to make this possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Commissioner Mendel.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any questions. I do have a couple of sort of answers, responses on some of the other items that have been raised. So the third BART station that was discussed, it was raised with BART 8 years ago when I first got on the city council. We were roundly rejected by BART. There was no interest at the time. I would also point out that Hayward has already passed a $15 minimum wage. If it's not fully implemented as of right now, it will be by the time these stores open. That is our attempt to, address the wage issues. I think it's okay. So now some opinions. The drive-through lanes on these two drive-throughs are absolutely fantastic. So we had a drive-through application a few weeks ago that was too small. Let's just say. I think we all, in various degrees, would agree with that. These are not. These are fantastic 24, 22, 24, 25 cars, room for that many cars. And all of the overflow is into the parking lot, not onto the streets. Whoever designed that, thank you. You did a fantastic job. That is the way a drive-through should be designed, especially when there's space. My compliments to you and to both restaurants for making that work so well. I personally am absolutely thrilled to see this remaining 100% commercial. Thank you to the applicant for hearing that was Hayward's very strong preference and for responding to it. I really am just incredibly grateful for that because it is not always the case. We have a lot of developers who try to force through whatever it is that they are looking to do, regardless of what we're asking for. And I'm just so pleased that that is not what you chose to do and that you chose to listen and you're responding to what the city council and the community has been asking for, which is for this site to remain commercial. The Sprouts is just absolutely fantastic. I've been walking precincts for 20 years in Hayward, been on the city council for 8.5 years. Grocery stores are always the number one ask. And the three that always get asked for, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, and Sprouts. People just say, can I just have any one of those three at any site, anywhere in Hayward, pretty please. There have been literally certainly hundreds, probably thousands of people who have made that comment to me over the years. So this is an incredible fit. It will be very popular. Commissioner Goldstein's comments about the next door reaction, you undersold it because the reaction has just been incredibly positive. Again, I've been in politics for 20 years. There's never unanimously positive feedback on any proposal, but this one came really close. For the fast food, the two drive-throughs, we have a lot of drive-throughs in Hayward, and we've sort of identified that we don't need a ton more of those. And the city council has sort of put in place an unofficial preference saying, look, please, no more drive-throughs, unless it's something that we don't already have in Hayward. We don't have an In-N-Out. We don't have a Raising Cane's. In fact, I don't think the Bay Area has a Raising Cane's. So these definitely qualify. And this is the kind of, this is the sort of business you want to make some allowances for, even though we have a lot of drive-throughs, because this will be unique. It'll be different. It'll be a draw. As you can tell, I'm really excited about this. I'm really pleased to see commercial developers who know what they're doing. Thank you. I think it was Greg, you were talking about how you don't sound too worried about this filling up, and neither am I. With Sprouts and those 2 unique drive-through restaurants, there's going to be huge demand to co-locate with them. Everything that I've learned over 20 years in this business tells me that is exactly the case. And I'm not at all surprised that you're already getting, lots of interest. The furniture brand is fantastic. Hayward has identified furniture sales as a retail soft spot, an area where we need more commercial outlets. So that's a great fit for Hayward and a great fit for the site. This is just fantastic. It's fantastic. I've been waiting for this for a long time, and I just hope it gets a clear 7-0 vote, and we won't hear the cheers, but there will be people around Hayward cheering about this. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. So I'll go ahead and give my, questions. I'll get my questions out, and then I'll just circle back one more time if there were any final questions or comments, because we did things a little bit differently this evening. So I've driven by and watched this poor site slump its shoulders for the last few years until Kmart finally left and nature has taken over again. So I'm really excited to see this corner get revitalized and about this project coming in. I do have some questions for staff about parking, because there was so much work done in the Harder entrance. There's going to be a new traffic light there. I was glad to see that, all of the considerations for people coming in and out by foot and by bike. But on the Mission, I drive that area a lot on the Mission corridor. And as you come south on Mission, there are 3 lanes. And as they come into that location, there's a merge lane that tapers down to 2 lanes. I think that might be a problem, especially in those early days with In-N-Out when people are excited to get there. I think we're going to see large queues just for those first few weeks. I would like to see that 3rd outside lane on Mission Boulevard be a designated turn lane onto Harder, so to have Mission be down to 2 lanes before it hits this location, because what I see people do is they use that outside lane before you hit Harder as a way to zoom into that merge lane and to try to sort of get up in front of traffic going down. And I can see if people are sort of hesitating turning in, or there's maybe a backup, every once in a while, and they have to do a dead stop right there, that could be a really difficult situation. So I was wondering what's being done on Mission, and is that a possibility, maybe to Marcus or the traffic consultant?
Yes, that's a great question, Chair Roche, and I'm so glad that we do have our traffic experts here on the call. I'm going to defer this one to our transportation planner, Stephen Chang. He may take a portion of it and then defer to our traffic consultants from Kittleson and Associates.
Chair and Commissioners. Right now, we would have to look at the available right-of-way to make that into a turn lane. I believe that it might just be just short, but that's something that our staff can look into to see if we can get an exclusive right turn lane in there. I do know that there are some city projects that are in the works along Mission to make some bicycle improvements along that frontage, and part of the $100,000 that the applicant is contributing towards future bicycle and pedestrian improvements will go into those projects.
All right. Thank you. I guess I just want to make sure that's looked at, because I think that could be a dangerous, it's already a dangerous situation with people zooming down Mission. So thank you, Stephen. And I don't think there's anything I want to do to add to the project tonight or add some sort of amendment to it, but I want that. I'd like that to be looked at. Okay, and then the other question I had around trash, because yes, all of the next door input and the public comments we got, people are really excited about this project. But the 2 trends in everyone being excited is trash and traffic. And so trash was a big deal. I live in Fairway Park, so I know of this trash that comes off fast food restaurants and ends up in front of my house and down the street. And I know Commissioner Bonilla talked about adopt a block, but I was really glad to see in the conditions of approval, it specifically lays out the solid waste plan for both In-N-Out, Raising Cane's, and and the property management. So the one thing I would ask is if there was any way that there could be a phone number, an email set up so that neighbors, because I know the conditions of approval state that it's not only the site, but the adjacent properties that end up with trash from this site. So maybe this is for the owner applicant, but is there a way that we could set up some neighborhood communication so that people, if there was some, I mean, maybe there's going to be one area where people park and dump all their trash, a local park or a local, empty parking lot. I think that might be really helpful for neighbors to feel like we're really hearing them on this. Mr. Gerson, if you want to answer.
Yeah, Julie, thank you. It's a great question. It's an issue we're facing in our 400 properties, right? This is not unique to Hayward. This is everywhere. And frankly, it's a problem. And as you know, it's been a problem with this vacant property. It's been vandalized. We've had, we're spending thousands of dollars a month maintaining the best we can what we have here. So there's several things going on with these shopping centers. One is Raising Cane's and In-N-Out under our, what we call our CC&Rs, which are reciprocal easement agreements between them. They're very specific, and we deal with this a lot. And they have to maintain their parcels. And that's the trash, that's their own receptacles, that's their own thing going on there. If they don't, we as landlords can take over and bill them for it. So you have two tenants out there that have to do their own. We as landlords have to maintain the whole property. And I'm absolutely happy as a condition of approval to put in here emails, contacts for all our property managers, because as Will Geyer said early on, we're an integrated company. We do everything ourselves. We don't hire third-party managers. We don't hire third-party leasing people, construction people. We're one group. And so it's a big issue for us because the last thing we want is problems. It just creates more issues. So I'm happy for staff to put that as a condition of approval. We'll do that, no problem. And because it's a big issue.
Yeah.
It's just an issue right now in today's society, right? It just is.
Yeah. No, I would appreciate that because I know even my local shopping center, I don't even know who to call. I'm sure
they don't. It's a big problem right now, and it's not being addressed.
But I think,
it's very expensive, and people dump stuff, as you can imagine, and those costs get passed back to our tenants, right? They're paying for all this, so it's a big issue, and they understand it because they don't want that stuff around their property either. So it's an issue.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, and maybe it's something we could put out on Nextdoor so people know who to contact.
Absolutely, not a problem.
All right, great. Thank you, Mr. Gerson. Let's see, the merge issue, and then I just circling back to sort of local entrepreneurs and hiring Hayward and all that. One of the comments from the public, they made a suggestion that maybe we could do something to be using like one of the units for like an entrepreneur opportunity or pop-up shops or something like that. I know, of course, this comes down to, the applications you get for these units. But if that's something you would at least look at to allow some designated way to allow local food people or local artists or something to have a place in this shopping center, I think that would be something interesting to look at. I'm not going to add this as a condition of approval, but I'd appreciate you being open to that.
Yeah, I am open to it. We've got properties all over, and we have in a lot of our properties, we have, especially our mall properties and some of our larger shopping centers that because of COVID, we have a lot of vacancies that are rolling as these tenants are going through it. And so we're doing all kinds of temporary tenants, which are pop-ups, right? They come in, they do we have libraries in our stores, right, in our shopping centers right now. We have all kinds of tenants, mom and pops that are doing this. And so when we announce this project to the community, it goes out to kind of the whole brokerage community, and everybody's open to look at this. And so that's the wave of the future, basically.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. And my last question, I know we need to move on, but my last question perhaps goes to the In-N-Out folks, that I know that in the first few weeks of these establishments, there's just crazy traffic. You know, people want to come from all over. And I want to know like what your plan is for those first few weeks, because I can see cars queuing. I've seen the huge lines at other operations like this that open up. I mean, maybe Raising Cane's will be the same way, but I don't know them as well. So I'm wondering what your plan is. Are you going to have extra staff out in the parking lot to guide people into some sort of orderly queue? If there's someone.
Good question, and thank you. Can you hear me?
Thank you, Michelle.
So yes, good question. And yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We do. We have a traffic vendor that we've used specifically in California, actually, and I've worked with them quite a few times. That is they're like a traffic control company. And there are a lot of retired military and former police. And they usually help on a lot of our openings with the first 2 weeks. We usually will reach out probably a month or so. We'll work with city and maybe your traffic engineer, local PD, come up with maybe some ideas. We'll work with obviously the developer on our opening and our all-stars. We have a group of all-stars that's all they do is go from store to store and open the stores. So we will definitely have something implemented way before we open.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I figured you would have thought that through. I'm concerned about that.
Yes, yeah, we do on every single store. Every single store has some kind of traffic plan set up.
Great. Okay, thank you. Besides that, yeah, I mean, I'm excited about Sprouts. I don't want to keep traveling to Fremont. I'd like that to be in Hayward. So I'm excited. I know the community is really excited, and it's hard not to get around this project when it's going to bring a lot of opportunities for the community. So I will let's see, move on. I think we have some comments still. Commissioner Akenda? No, you had your hand up. Commissioner Mendel?
Yeah, no comment, but just wanted to move the item, but I'll wait. If anybody.
Okay, I'll come back. Wait, were there any other comments, or is everyone just wanting it? Was Commissioner Mendel? Did you have a comment, or did you want to?
Wanted to move the item.
Okay, Commissioner Sullivan, you had a comment.
Well, I was trying to be good and just keep it to questions first and then comments after.
I know, I mix things up. So go ahead. I know, go ahead.
That's okay. I'll be brief here. I'll echo what all my fellow commissioners have said, or what I believe all my fellow commissioners are feeling. Very excited about this project, very supportive of it. I'll say, sort of within the world of QSRs, I think that Raising Cane's and In-N-Out, to me, in my lay opinion, are of higher caliber than some other options. And so in the world of quick food, I think that we're at least getting two of the more responsible operators. So I'm excited about that. The other thing I'll note, just in the chronology of comments, I read all of the comments that the public submitted. And early on, I think initially all folks saw were two fast food restaurants, and the gut instinct was no more fast food. And I think when word sort of got out that Sprouts was secured, the tone of the comments really changed almost to a universal applaud and excitement. And really, this is something that the community has needed for a long time. I think everyone is thrilled to be getting a Sprouts. This is exactly as Commissioner Mendel mentioned, what people have been asking for. And so to be able to secure that for the city of Hayward, I think is a huge win for us. So I'm very excited about it and looking forward to being able to shop at the center once it's developed, hopefully quicker than 2023. So with that, I'll yield my time.
Thank you, Commissioner Ali Sullivan. And I think it was Commissioner Kenda that wanted to move first. Was that right, Commissioner Kenda?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll move the item.
I think we're ready to go there. So.
All right. Well, I'll move the item. Take staff recommendations for approval.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Bonilla. Sorry, I think it was whoever got to their mute button first got to second that one. Okay, let's see. So we have a motion to move the staff recommendations, and Commissioner Bonilla seconded. I would like to add a friendly amendment to add that phone numbers and emails, names, phone numbers and emails are added, or some sort of contact email is added to the conditions of approval where it comes to solid waste and who the neighbors should talk to. Would the maker of the motion be amenable to that?
Just a quick question for staff. how they might think that could look. Where would that information be posted? Like, what are we really asking for? How do people get that contact information? I don't know.
This Greg again, and I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn or not, but we are happy. We have a property manager. We have a property manager for every property. We have a regional property manager. Their phone numbers, their emails are available at all times. And so we are happy to post that wherever it needs to be posted.
Thank you, Mr. Gerson. Marcus, what do you think about the answer to that?
Yeah, that'd be great. I was just trying to get clarification in terms of where that would be posted or where that contact information would be available. I mean, I think one idea maybe like somewhere on the primary building or the pad buildings, or maybe on the project website, if there is going to be a website specific for this development. Does that kind of meet the intent of your condition?
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe you can say, because the conditions of approval do say that they're going to take care of this. So maybe a sentence just needs to be added, which will, including contact information for neighbors to contact them, and then we'll leave it up to the owner to clarify that. Is that okay? Does that work, Marcus?
Yes, Chair. That can be
okay. Are you okay with that, Commissioner Kenda?
Yeah.
Commissioner Bonilla? Thank you. Okay, discussion. Is there any more discussion on the motion, or does everybody want to move on to voting? No more. I don't see any more hands. Okay, Ms. Chan, if you could call a vote on the motion. Let's see, and let me just want to make clear again. I got to get my thing. So we're making a motion. There's a motion on the table for the Planning Commission to approve the conditional use permit, site plan review, and warrant and exception applications based on the report we received and the required findings, and subject to the conditions of approval, with an amendment that the owner will list the contact information for neighbors to report trash problems.
Or we'll make publicly available or something like that.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Denise, did you get that?
Thanks, Chair. Excuse me. Mr. Martinez? Marcus?
Yes, Secretary Chen.
Where would this language be added to? What section?
This would be added as condition 144.
144? And do we want to say that that the contact information for the property management for the applicant or for the owner will be available?
Yes, for the property management company would be available to the public.
Yeah, and I would like to add, and posted clearly for the public to see.
Do we want to indicate where, or that's specific or not yet?
I think that hopefully staff and Mr. Gerson can work together on that with knowing our intent for
okay.
I would say on the building.
That would be great.
On the building, and we're going to post it on our website so it's very clear. That's what we want to do. We don't want trash. So let's make this thing really apparent.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Thank you. All right. So ready?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Commissioner Ali Sullivan.
Enthusiastic aye.
Commissioner Bonilla.
Yes.
Commissioner Goldstein.
Yes.
Commissioner Mendel.
With my compliments to the staff for your work on this as well, yes.
Commissioner Okenda.
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens. You're muted, Commissioner Stevens. Thank you. I can see you're saying yes. Chair Roche.
Yes.
Thank you. We have 7 ayes.
Thank you, Ms. Chan. And with that, the motion passes 7-0. Thank you, everyone, for your hard work on this one. I think everyone will be thrilled.
Y'all sprouts better be coming. I'm just saying.
Okay. That was good and informative. And let's move on to our next item.
And let me just clarify that the Sprouse lease is signed. So just so everybody knows, that is a signed lease. Raising Cane's is signed, and In-N-Out will be signed in a week or so, just so everybody knows.
Thank you, Mr. Gerson.
Joking. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Don't have to go to Fremont anymore.
That's right. All right, let's move on to, after that exciting item, let's move on to the approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move it.
Thank you. Commissioner Kenda, do I have a second on the minutes?
So I'll second that, and just remind Denise, there was that one typo and that I already sent you an email, and just want to make sure that's included.
That is correct. It's already been corrected. Thank
Perfect.
you, Commissioner Mendel.
Thank you.
All right, so that's Commissioner Okenda moved the item and Commissioner Mendel seconded.
Yes.
We're ready to go?
We're ready.
Commissioner Ali Sullivan.
Aye.
Commissioner Bonilla.
Yes.
Commissioner Goldstein.
Yes.
Commissioner Mendel.
Yes.
Commissioner Okenda.
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens.
Yes.
Chair Roche.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the motion passes. Okay, let's move on to commission reports. Do we have anything this evening from staff?
Good evening. The only thing that I'll just report out is that we do have right now one item scheduled for the second meeting in May. I think that's the 27th, if I'm not mistaken. And that will be coming to the Planning Commission. It's a multifamily residential housing development. Also wanted to let you know that you'll see a slightly modified staff report. We've been in the process of updating our template to provide some more information to the commission related to our regional arena numbers, which is our regional housing allocation needs assessment, as well as we've been adding some more information related to SB 330 and our public outreach that we're doing. So that's going to be a new standard, hopefully, for all of the reports. So as well as we also are adding an objective development standard section in there. So that way it'll be very, very clear whether projects are meeting our objective standards. But I just wanted to highlight that you'll see some slight modifications in the report, hopefully a little bit more graphic friendly and easier to understand and read. And that's all.
Thank you, Jeremy. And let's see, do we have any commissioner announcements? Let's see, Commissioner Goldstein.
Thank you, Chair. The Hayward Education Foundation, their website is haywarded.org, will be having its annual fundraiser as an online auction this year. And I hope you'll have an opportunity to take a look and participate with that. Of course, it goes to our Hayward schools, benefits teachers and students directly. It's a nonprofit. So take a look at haywarded.org, and the auction will begin June 17th, and I believe it concludes on the 21st or 22nd. So hope you'll get an opportunity to participate. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go next. I didn't see really quickly, but I'm going to go next to Commissioner Mendel.
Thank you. A question for Jeremy. I know that the planning department puts out I think it's a quarterly update on various in progress applications and under construction and whatnot, and sort of here's a status for Holiday Bowl and the Haymont, et cetera, et cetera. I haven't been on very long, so maybe that gets shared with the Planning Commission, and I'll just look for the next one. If it's not, could we please start that? Because the folks here are always going to be voting on these projects, and it's really nice to find out 6 months, a year later, what the status is and how it's going. And since you're doing the work already, it'd just be great to share it with the Planning Commission.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're acknowledging the work that we put together. I'm glad it's well received. We found it to be hugely beneficial. We've changed it quarterly to every 6 months, just because we realize that oftentimes things don't happen that quickly, especially in the COVID era. So we are planning to do an update at the end of June. So you should be expecting that. We can forward that to the commission, but I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, and if you would I would suggest making that an ongoing thing so that folks don't have to remember to ask each time. That'd be great, because it is a real good. Yeah. Thank you. That's all, Chair.
Thank you. Let's see, great idea. I appreciate that too, Commissioner Mendel. Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everybody that we all have a jewel in downtown Hayward that happens every Saturday morning. The farmers market is just absolutely amazing. Wonderful people, great produce, and just awesome prices. So no negative against Sprouts, but that farmers market, that's amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, great reminder. Let's see, Commissioner, Ali Sullivan, you had your hand up.
I think this is the most commissioner announcements we've had in a while.
Really?
Yeah, I like this. So very quickly, I just wanted to acknowledge here, myself along with many other Hayward residents have been fasting for Ramadan for the last 30 days. And today marks the end of Ramadan, so it's Eid. And so I wanted to wish everyone in the city of Hayward who is celebrating Eid, Eid Mubarak or Happy Eid to all Hayward residents.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Ali Sullivan. Okay, Commissioner Mendel, you still had your hand up. Are you done? Okay. Thank you. Great. The only thing I wanted to add is along the lines of what Commissioner Mendel asked for, I was also wondering, it was also asked of me, was if you could give us a little bit more leadway on some of the items coming up. We've had some pretty heavy items, and it would be nice to have a little more of a window into, say, the next 3 months or, I don't know, 6 months down the road to know what big things might be coming our way so that we can maybe start sort of looking at that a little bit, a little bit ahead of time. So often, sometimes the Friday to Thursday timeframe isn't often enough time. So, Jeremy, if that's something you could do, maybe, I know we've done that in the past, just so we get a little better sense of what's coming our way.
We can absolutely, we can do that. I can tell you for the next 2 meetings, the first one, there's only one item on the agenda. As I mentioned, it's a multifamily residential project off of Berry in South Hayward off of Mission. That'll be coming before the commission on May 27th. And then coming up on June 10th, we have our updated cannabis regulations, which we will be presenting to the commission for your consideration and recommendation to the council. So right now, those are the only 2 items that I know in the immediate. There's also some additional projects. I know we have a U-Haul project that will probably be coming toward the end of June, as well as Parcel Group 3, possibly with that redevelopment site. But we will keep you informed on a more regular notice basis by adding the items that are tentatively scheduled. We can circulate that around with our agendas.
Thank you. That would be great, Jeremy. Let's see. I think that's it. Yep. No other announcements. I appreciate everyone's time this evening. And I look forward to the next meeting. And I think with that, we can adjourn the meeting. It is 9:22 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
The recording has stopped.
Woo.